Democratic Whip.
Mr. President, before I make my remarks, I want to join my colleague, Republican colleague from Wyoming, in the salute to our military and appreciation for all that they have given to America. It was a touching story. I know he spends so many holidays visiting with Wyoming Guard troops stationed around the world, and I didn't know he carried his father's World War II dog tags with him, but it's an indication of his love and respect for his dad, and I want to join in those sentiments. But though the military commitment that people make is a unique commitment because you say that you'll risk your life for this country, there are many other commitments that can be made in public service which make this a greater nation too. For more than 3 decades, AmeriCorps has strengthened communities across the United States. From rebuilding homes to providing rural health care, tutoring kids after school, cleaning up after natural disasters, AmeriCorps supports our most under-resourced communities. My Republican colleagues represent communities that benefit from AmeriCorps whose members serve in their state. For decades, AmeriCorps has had bipartisan support, which it deserves. But last week, unfortunately, the Trump administration pulled the rug out from under these community organizations by eliminating their funding, eliminating it. Organizations like Leslie Bates Davis Neighborhood House in East St. Louis, Illinois, my hometown, provides meals to members of all ages of the East St. Louis community. They were left scrambling after the president's announcement eliminating AmeriCorps. Right after the funding cuts were announced, Reverend Gaston, the CEO, met with workers who serve as drivers for the center's Meals on Wheels program. For many of the senior citizens in that town and around the country, the Meals on Wheels is literally the only physical contact they have with the outside world. It is a moment in the day that they look forward to with great anticipation. It's more than just food. The night before the drivers were set to deliver meals, Reverend Gaston had to tell them there's nowhere to go. He added that those workers would not get paid even though they'd worked earlier in the day. The East St. Louis community is located in a food desert, which means members like Aisha, who takes care of her grandfather, have come to rely on the center's food pantry for health options like fruits and vegetables. I know I was just there 2 weeks ago. Last month, 8 dedicated AmeriCorps members worked in the center's cafe to offer a safe place for the community to eat a hot meal. Today, because of Trump's cuts, the tables are empty. Camille, who is Leslie Bates Davis Program Director for AmeriCorps, shared that she has 120 days to close out the program. After that, even she will be left without a job. While Camille is concerned about her own future, she's also shared how overwhelming it is to tell people that she doesn't know the path forward, especially because she's a leader in the community. Other programs across Illinois are feeling similar impacts. Take Lucas, an AmeriCorps volunteer who has worked at the Boys and Girls Clubs in Livingston, Illinois, providing students with a safe place to learn and to play after school. He won't get paid because of the Trump cuts, but he plans to continue to volunteer unpaid because the impact in his community without people would leave him feeling very bad for the young kids he knows so well. Another constituent, Ann, is an AmeriCorps program director at Severson Dells Nature Center in Northern Illinois in Rockford. Ann shared that one alum of AmeriCorps was inspired to serve his country by joining the U.S. Coast Guard after working in the community as an AmeriCorps volunteer and member in the Nature Center. To use Ann's words, AmeriCorps members are the best of us and have collectively served this country. I urge my Republican colleagues to fight against this administration's senseless attempts to eliminate such small amounts of funding that have such incredible positive impact in their communities as well as my own. Don't sit by in silence. As if cutting funds from AmeriCorps wasn't enough, last Thursday, in the dead of the night, President Trump signed an executive order trying to end federal funding for national public radio and public broadcasting. As it currently stands, only 1% of federal funding goes directly to NPR and PBS. It is a marginal expense in comparison to the amount of good it does. They provide news coverage, life-saving emergency alerts, educational program for our kids. While President Trump falsely claims that public media is, quote, biased and partisan, he's wrong. Public media provides local communities with unbiased and nonpartisan news coverage, especially in rural and small-town areas, where a newsroom often is working off limited resources. The Corporation for Public Broadcasting is a private, nonprofit corporation authorized by Congress since 1967. For more than 50 years, Congress has provided funding on a bipartisan basis for public broadcasting. By doing so, we have ensured the independence of the public media system and provided an opportunity for a long-standing public-private partnership in service to all Americans. President Trump's attempts to silence the media he does not deem acceptable should be responded to on a bipartisan basis. We must be united to let this president know that silencing a reliable news source is unacceptable in modern America. We have come to expect this kind of censoring by dictators and others. We don't expect it in the United States. Countries like Russia and China spend billions of dollars trying to undermine our news and spread disinformation. And cuts to free, untampered public news are not the way to fight off their advances. As soon as I learned about the proposed cuts, I spoke out on the need for Congress to respond to save these important institutions. And where was the response of my Republican colleagues? Silence. Crickets. It's the silence of the lambs. My Republican colleagues cannot afford to stay silent any longer. We must work in a bipartisan manner and continue to work to stop these funding cuts and prove to the American people that we care about our local communities and everyone's access to free, unbiased broadcasting. We must continue to allow NPR and PBS to provide essential news, information, and life-saving services to the American public. Democracy cannot survive in silence. Mr. President, I yield the floor and suggest the absence of a quorum.